of canals. In Holland, we call it, in the Netherlands. And I'd back up about 15 feet and have to run and jump across it. Just 1 foot would drag the water. See, that's how wide they were. I crossed a couple of those, and then I'd stop to a house, I remember, and go in there, and they'd talk to me. And then I'd leave, went to 2 or 3 more, and I went to another one that he slammed the door in my face, you know. And later on I went out, and I was sitting beside
Now wait a minute, when you go to the door, did they feed you or did they just visit with you?
No, then they didn't do nothing. That one didn't slam the door, didn't do nothing.
Yeah, I know, but you said that you went
Well,
to...
this one I'm gonna tell you now, I was sitting there next to this canal, and about a couple of blocks down there's this house, and I could hear a faint conversation going on. I couldn't understand what it was, and talking. So I crossed that canal and went down there, and over there, their barns are attached to their houses like our garages are, and we're under the back. And I heard all the noise talking, and I opened the door there. There's the barn, a big, tall stack of 8 or 10 feet of hay there, and there's about a dozen or more boys and girls about 10, 11, 12 years old. Well, they were having a big party pulling sprouts off Irish potatoes. It's all just having a big game of that. Snow on the ground, snowing. It was snowing the whole time. It's freezing out. It was miserable. Anyway.
Were you cold if you only had your coveralls on?
Oh yeah, I had that was thin. I was cold. Yeah, that was cold. Those kids, they saw me. Boy, they just stopped. And I approached them. I said, "I'm an American. Does any of you speak English?" Didn't hear nothing. So I had a map. We had a fantastic map about 2 or 3 by 3 feet. You unfold it, unravel it. It's silk, and it had just area where I'd be on both sides of it, wherever you bailed out. I wouldn't know where I was. They didn't. I couldn't understand what they were saying. I took that map and I spread it on top of that. Hey, boy, those kids had run over there, right across the top. The Netherlands, right in big black letter, right across the top of it. Boy, they got excited. Mm-hmm. They saw their name, the Netherlands. Now they were proud to see their country, that Netherlands, and they knew exactly what I wanted to do. When all their fingers were right down to one spot, and I did not want. I tell you what, I did not want to remember the name of that little town, because I knew if I was apprehended by the Germans and they knew, and they had this, you know, they might be forcing me to tell them where was this at. Oh, I remember the name started with a B, which didn't make any difference. They showed me. They jabbered about that. First thing I heard someone walking down from the door inside, and this lady, she had a print dress on. Now we're about 20, 21, I guess, 21 something. And she looked about 15 years older than me. She's probably between 40, 45, maybe something like that. And she come down there, and I got up to meet her, and she said, "Let's come with me." She spoke perfect English, perfect English. She said, "Come with me." And I followed her into the house, and she says, "You know, I've helped many boys just like you. I've helped many of them. And I'll tell you what, you can't stay here, you've got to go. You don't have long to stay, you've got to go, because my husband will be here shortly, any time." And she looked me right straight in the eye and said, "And he is not one of us." And then she said again, "He is not one of us." So I thought about this $1,500 then. I've had it, but not just 21. I don't believe when I was 21, I didn't know as much as these 16, maybe 17-year-old boys nowadays. We didn't we never had to go anywhere before the war. It seemed like I worried about sometime I should have given that to her, see. Anyway, she said, you come over here. Went to a big plate glass window. She gestured out there, said, you go out there, you stay up to 3 hours. Don't stay any longer. If nothing happens, go your way. She says, maybe an hour or so. There'd be 2 men come by. She described how they'd be, you know. Old, everyone's old over there then. All the young ones is
In the Army.
Army, yeah. And she says, they come by there. She says, don't speak to them, don't approach them. You keep them inside. Stay away from them. Well, then I knew what I knew before. There's the Dutch Underground, see, and I mean, you talk about patriotism and nationalistic pride. That lady had it. She's risking her very neck, what she was doing, and her husband was not a part of it. But he didn't have the guts. And I got thinking then, the reason I didn't give her this money is if it was the Gestapo or the Germans come and they'd find that money, or if he knew it some way. Now I satisfied my mind that I did right by not giving that to her, see, because it might jeopardize her life with that money. They catch her all that $1,500. That's like $15,000.
Yeah.
At that time, that's like $15,000.
Mm-hmm.
Just $1,500. So she looked at my back there, and he said, "Well, it's not very deep. I don't think I'd bother you." But then she let me out the side door, told me the best, and I went up there. Snowing again, wind blowing. It was cold. And then one little old bush, you didn't see any trees in the Netherlands. Big bush there. And I didn't have a watch, it was gone, see. I waited, I just guessed about a little over an hour, and sure enough, these two came by. They ignored me. Then I just walked. Sometimes I kept a block away from them, a little further sometimes, a little closer, just following. We've been going about a little hour, maybe an hour and a little bit over. And all at once to my left on the horizon, snow-covered horizon, I saw 4 or 5 German troops, and then 8 or 10 more, 15 more. There's about 20, 25 of them, I guess. They're all spread out along there. They knew I was in the area. So that ruined everything. It was about in the afternoon, close to 5 o'clock, I'd guess. There's no sun out, you couldn't tell what. And there's a herd of dairy cattle. I guess it'd come up, be milk probably. And I just got right in the middle of all this, about 15, 20 head of them. I got in with them. And one was German, wasn't 50 yards from me. He come by there, see, there's all scattered out along there. Well, see, last I saw those 2 men, they were gone. My chance of going, I knew I was a prisoner of war for the duration. Find my best chance
To get out.
was gone, see. It's cold, and I left. It was getting dark, and I went to another house and barn, and they had a little old tool shed at the back of one of these barns. It's snowing, I got in there, stayed there overnight. And that was the 3rd day of March, that first day. And the next morning, that was the 4th, I guess. Anyway, I left there that morning and started, I wanted to keep going north. I knew I wanted to go north where I could get closer to the channel up there where everybody was, you know. So as that time I hesitated this morning where to go by, so I went to school like I did before. And just before noon, this guy come along and pushed a bicycle, you know. And he wasn't talking to me, I was talking to him. And we'd heard a lot of stories that everybody had bicycles, you know. A lot of times you can get out there, they give you a bicycle, you get, what you need to do is go to Spain. The Dutch Underground gets you. You go to Spain, you go home. You go to England, you go home. And be over. And I was told if you cross the Spanish border, first one you see, tell them you want the nearest American consulate, see. You go home. I knew one guy one time in the prison camp, he never forgot it. He was on one of those bicycles. Over there they had these, later on they had these brakes on the handle like they do here. When I was growing up, we had mechanical brakes, see. And he wasn't used to those brakes. And he could see the Pyrenees Mountains shut over there. He was less than a mile of the Spanish border. And there's a German column marching up that street. And he's going down this hill. And the Germans, they're not going to get out of your way, see. You get out of their way. They're rulers. They're in charge. He got to him. He tried to slow down. He hit a tooth. Locked that front wheel up and he threw him just into those Germans. And then he became a prisoner of war that way. Because he got unlucky. Anyway, that next morning.
Now you're seeing this guy on the bicycle,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
you're talking to him.
Yeah. And he wouldn't talk. And he asked for me to go with him, see, which I followed him and went to his house. His wife gave me some hot milk. They heat them. They don't freeze them. Get cold. They heat it, drink it warm. Give me a little of that, you know. And I laid down there on a quilt she gave me there, and I was awakened sometime later, and the German Gestapo agent and a Dutch policeman came in there, see. This old man he didn't call them, he called the Gestapo man. I knew he was, later on, he come in there and they got me up, this Dutch policeman, he was Dutch military anyway. He come to see if I had a weapon. I didn't have a weapon. So then this Gestapo agent, he was real nice. And he spoke good English, you know. And this guy, this old man, he'd called in, see, he was really one of them. He'd called this Gestapo, you know, to turn me in, you know, and boy, he was really happy, you know. Anyway, this Gestapo agent took me out of his car. He had a little round hat on, black with narrow edge on it, and that car had a big old, looked like a tank, hot water tank strapped on the side, and had burlap sacks full of wood chips, and this car was running on wood chips somehow, and he put me in the car. He had a driver there, and he was nice to me. He said, "For you, the war's all over," as if I didn't know it, see. Anyway, he took me to this little village there, took me in that village, and there I waited for some time. And I saw this. You ever see my favorite war picture, Where Eagles Dare? If you ever see that, that's a good movie. I remember in that Clint Eastwood and what's his name, rode in this motorcycle with a sidecar. Yeah. Well, I heard this one coming down the cobblestone street, looked through the window, and there's two Luftwaffe, German Luftwaffe. There's the Air Force, see. They were coming in from it. They pulled up, screeched and hauled out in front, these double doors in that little city hall. They burst through there. One of them had a burp gun, the other one had a Mauser, that's right, with a bayonet on the end. They swarmed in there. He took that burp gun and charged it right in my stomach. He charged it and looked me straight in the eye. Another got behind me and see if I had a weapon. And then he hit me in the back with the butt of his rifle, knocked me from here to that up the wall. Oh, it hurt a little bit. And then I got up. They put me in this sidecar, and the one drove the motorcycle, and the other one stood with the burp gun behind me, stood behind. And we went, it was getting dusky, late. We went all night. It's in the dark on that motorcycle sidecar. And I remember looking to the left, the water over there was probably along the North Sea coast somewhere. Anyway, just about nearly daylight, we saw a sign there said, what was the name of the capital of the Netherlands? What is that big city?
I don't know.
Oh, I can't believe I forgot that. Anyway, that was a big city, the biggest city in the Netherlands. I'll think of it later on. Anyway, they took me, it's getting daylight, and they put me in the city jail there, Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, right.
Amsterdam,
yes.
yeah, that's what it is, yeah, Amsterdam. There was a sign there that said Amsterdam, and then they put me in this city jail. It was snowing. They didn't open the door until the third day, see. I could see through the wind up there, they were still snowing. And then the third day, woke me up, took me out, need to go to the restroom. It's right on the edge of the sidewalk out there. People can see you walking by. That's an embarrassing place to be. Got through there, come back, and they brought me a little piece of black bread, and you know, like you get oil, creamy butter, little squares.
Mm-hmm.
They had little squares of honey put on that black bread, and gave me that, and a cup of, it wasn't coffee, it tasted like leaves of kind of, well, it was terrible. Anyway, there, that third day, put me in a car and took me to an air base, an ME-109 air base. That's a measurement, ME-109. It is, was driving up to the building, I could see them, I knew them, ME-109 airplanes out there. I'm like, boy, if the 8th Air Force knew all them was there, they'd have a heyday then.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it took me in there. It's a headquarters building, a lot of mostly women working this big headquarters building. And there was an officer sitting across the table and a German sergeant to my left. He was an interpreter and I was sitting here. What little, when we go on a mission, you take all your personal belongings and put them in a bag, and you get them when you get back. But I left my sister to give me a lifetime safer fountain pen. I mean, and it was in my pocket and all out there. And I had a comb, and now see, I had hair back then. Really, I mean, I had to have a comb, and I'd taken that and had 2 or 3 teeth out of it. And they passed that comb, and all these women and girls out there, they looked, they was laughing. I asked that German sergeant, what's the big, what's funny? Well, he said, they see that that's an American product, and they see these teeth that it's broken out. Well, so what? Well, if that German comb, they wouldn't, none of them be broken out.
Oh.
See that? And
They
you
thought
know,
their German combs were superior.
oh
huh?
yeah, well they were. And then that German, I wondered what kind of rank he was. He was nice, but he didn't speak English. But I knew damn well that he could speak English because the German officers, they were educated, see. They wasn't 90-day wonder. They were educated. And he was real nice. I asked this German sergeant, what rank is he? He smiled, he said, he said, well, he says, in your military, you have stars. I said, yeah. I said, he's one. A one-star general. That's what he was, yeah. He asked me, I found Penny in Germany. He didn't speak it. He wanted to know if he could have it. I said, no. He took it. He wrote me out a receipt, give me a receipt for it.
Tell me about the $1,500. Where did you lose that?
Oh, I didn't. You know what? I was sitting on one of these banks, one of these canals, and I knew it would probably, I couldn't be able, it didn't look like I was going to meet anybody, so I wadded up and there's mud along the edge of that canal, dug a little hole in my hand and stuck that down and buried it right there. So maybe somebody found that later on. I don't wonder where that come from. You know?
Well, I kept sitting here thinking that he's going to tell us that they searched you and found it.
Yeah, they said, be sure, don't do this. Be sure, you know. Anyway, make a long story short, I'd never had seen I didn't know any of my crew members. They took me up to the railroad station, and there they all was.
All your old.
All of them. I didn't know them.
Yeah.
I told them, I wasn't seeing too much gratification. I wasn't gratified seeing many of them because I just.
Somewhere or another, you didn't like them.
No, I didn't. They was not there. I did not. You know, one of them was a little ball turret gunner, and he was cussing the pilot out because they didn't get along, and it wasn't good at all.
So they didn't have the camaraderie in their unit
no, they didn't,
that you
no.
did.
No, they didn't. I could see it. What was wrong with them? I didn't like them. Anyway. they put
Okay,
us-
now we're going to leave right here. We're going to
Yeah.
stop a minute because she's telling us that it's time.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.